Glad you're here for this special re-edit from Sip&Talk, which is brought to you by our good friend, Mickey. We're going to dive in and pull out the absolute best insights from a really fascinating conversation. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with this. Have you ever been there? You're in a conversation, or maybe you're just scrolling online, and one single, kind of dumb, illogical argument just gets stuck in your head. Like you know it's wrong, right? You know the logic is just garbage, but for some reason, you just can't shake it. It's like this little piece of mental malware that hijacks your whole system.
So what is going on there? Why does that happen? I mean, you'd think a logical, rational mind would just, toss this stuff aside instantly. But here's the crazy part. The really counterintuitive bit is that people who are super cognitive, people who really value logic and consistency, they're actually more likely to get snagged on these annoying viewpoints.
And this slide, man, this really gets to the heart of why. It's all about something called resource asymmetry. See, when your logical brain hears a statement that just doesn't add up, it automatically kicks into this super high-cost debug mode. You start running diagnostics, checking your own blind spots, trying to figure it out. But the other side, they just threw out a sentence. It cost them nothing. Meanwhile, you've launched this massive, expensive operation inside your own head.
And this whole auto-debug thing, it's not a bug. It's actually a feature of your brain. It's something called metacognition, which is just a fancy way of saying you're thinking about your own thinking. Your brain spots an error, an inconsistency, and it instinctively tries to fix it to keep your model of the world clean. So the problem isn't that your brain is trying to fix things. The problem is that the thing it's trying to fix is just junk. It's not worth the effort.
Okay, so this feeling of being hijacked, it can get way, way worse. It's one thing when it's some random comment on the internet, right? But it's a whole other ballgame when it feels like it's starting to, contaminate your own well-thought-out decisions. Let's walk through a real-world investment case study to see exactly what I mean.
So imagine this. A while back, you did the hard work. You did all the research, you analyzed the trends, and you decided to make a really smart long-term investment in AI servers. Your logic is solid. It's looking way into the future, say around 2026. You're playing the long game.
So time goes by. Your investment is just sitting there, doing its thing. And then bam, out of nowhere, the market wakes up and gets super excited about the same thing. But here's the catch. They're not excited for your smart, long-term reasons. Nope, the news story is all about hype, momentum, this idea that the stock could just pop any minute.
And that's when this really weird, uncomfortable feeling starts to creep in. Suddenly, this beautiful, long-term idea you built, it just feels cheap. It feels sullied, contaminated. It's like you designed this incredible piece of architecture and someone just came along and spray-painted some dumb tag on it. And you know what? This feeling actually has a name. It's a really powerful concept, a mistaken alliance. This is that feeling you get when you realize you're on the same side as people, but for reasons you totally reject. It messes with your head, right? It creates this massive cognitive dissonance because the why behind your decision feels like it's been hijacked. Okay, so how do we fight back against this? How do we stop our brains from getting hijacked and our decisions from feeling contaminated? Well, the answer is to build a mental firewall. And it's a really practical two-gate system that you can use to filter all this incoming noise before it gets a chance to mess with you. All right, so this firewall has two gates. It's super simple. First up is the credibility gate. And the key here is you don't even look at what they're saying yet. You just ask one question. Is this source even worth my brain's time? If and only if the answer is yes, then it gets to gate number 2, the assumption gate. And here, you still don't let it in all the way. You treat it like a temporary idea. You put it in a little mental sandbox to play with, far away from your core beliefs. So for gate 1, that credibility gate, you just do a super quick, 5-second check. You just ask yourself, does this person ever admit they're wrong? Is this argument based on actual facts, or is it just an emotional story? And do they even seem to know what their own assumptions are? If you get a no on 2 out of 3 of those, boom, you just label it low weight and you toss it. You don't analyze it, you don't debug it, you just move on. Okay, so a big question that probably pops up here is, wait, isn't this just building an echo chamber? And that's a fair question, but the answer is a hard no. This isn't about blocking out different opinions. It's about filtering out low-quality noise. Think about it. Really important truths, the real signals, they're not going to come from just one sketchy source. They'll show up over and over again from lots of different credible places. You'll see that cross-source consistency. You're not going to miss it. Okay, so you've got your firewall up and running. But what about that icky feeling of contamination when you're in a mistaken alliance? This last tool is all about protecting the purity of your original reasoning. This is so powerful.
It's a little mental trick called decision lineage isolation. You just look at all that hype and you say to yourself, very clearly, we might hold the same stock, but we are not in the same trade. Just saying that one sentence creates this clean break. It separates your smart long-term trade from their short-term emotional gamble.
This is so important. You have to remember their newfound excitement doesn't go back in time and change your decision. It doesn't change your original logic or the timing or the risks you knowingly took on. Your reasoning, your decision's lineage, it stays pure. It's completely untouched by all the noise that showed up late to the party.
So, to tie all of this together, my colleague Joe came up with this analogy that just nails it. It's absolutely perfect.
And here it is. Just listen to this. See, your well-researched position, that's structural engineering. It's the foundation, the steel beams, the physics holding the whole thing up. Their chatter, that's just a little lucky charm someone hung on the doorknob. It's decoration. And an architect would never ever waste their time analyzing the carbon content of the charm to see if the building is sound. So why are you?
So, when you boil it all down, it really comes to one last big question for you. The point of all this isn't to think less or to close your mind. Not at all. The goal is to become a master at allocating your most valuable, most limited resource, your thinking power. It's about consciously choosing to spend that energy only on the people and the issues that truly deserve it.
Wow. Okay. I really hope this gave you a few powerful new tools for your own mental firewall. Now, this was a re-edit of a much bigger conversation from the Sip&Talk podcast, and you should absolutely go subscribe to them to hear the whole thing. And of course, a huge, huge thank you to our sponsor for this one, Mickey. We've put the link to his channel right there in the description for you. Thanks for hanging out with me today.